It is Friday, April 17th, 2020. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. Welcome to Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and focus on the gospel and the one who saved our soul. We've been looking at Psalms of confidence, and this psalm gets there in kind of a roundabout way. We kind of had this same theme, but we're still in Psalm 46. It's interesting how Psalm 46 sets up two worst-case scenarios of fear. So basically, when we come to this psalm, we can ask ourselves, or I can ask you, what do you fear most in life? What's the thing you fear most in life right now? Is it catching the COVID-19, the coronavirus? Is it an earthquake? Is it political unrest? How about bears? I don't know. What is your greatest fear? Well, Psalm 46 gets there in this way. Verse 6, the nations rage, the kingdoms totter. We could certainly say in the time we're living in right now, the times we're living in, we see kingdoms raging. We see kingdoms tottering because of this coronavirus, because of this pandemic. Nations rage. One nation accuses another. Another is in denial. The kingdoms are tottering. Clearly, if anything's come about from this, we see how inept communist China is and actually governing their people. But there it is. The nations rage. The kingdoms totter. God utters his voice. The earth melts. So remember that earthquake? Nothing compared to the voice of God. Political turmoil? Forget about it. Coronavirus? Nothing compared to the voice of God. Verse 7, the Lord of hosts is with us. And there's where he gets to the idea of confidence, our confidence before God, our confidence in God being for us. The Lord of hosts, the Lord of all armies of heaven is with us. The Lord of all earthquakes, the Lord of all viruses on the face of the earth. This Lord is with us, his people. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Selah, he's the place we go to for rescue. So maybe the circumstances of your life feel like an earthquake. Maybe it feels like life is going to swallow you up. We all certainly feel unstable in the times we're in. But the psalmist says, God is with you and he will help. Are you afraid another nation is going to overpower us? He says, don't fear, God is with you. He is the God of the earth and the sky and the God of princes and kings. Verse 8, come, behold the works of the Lord. So, this psalm sets it up again that the nations raging, kingdoms tottering, whatever's happening, behold the works of God. Look how he has brought desolations on the earth. So we can't get away from the fact that God uses all things for his own good purposes. Do we know those purposes right up front all the time? We don't. But we know that he is good. And we know that he is loving, we know that he is just, so we know that he will use all things for good, loving, and just purposes. So the psalmist is asking us to look at the desolations that God brought. Now, a desolation is the condition of a place or thing that has been so severely damaged that it's no longer suitable for people to use or to live in. We still use the phrase an act of God, or at least insurance companies do. And the psalmist is telling us to look at these acts of God and realize, however frightening we find them, the God who brings these desolations is at our side. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. So God's the one who ends the wars. God is the one who shatters spears, who brings military might from a nation to nothing. God is the one who does this, and the psalmist says this famous verse, verse 10 from Psalm 46, be still and know that I am God. Now that's a great word for all people, especially politicians, shut up and know who's really in control. Because any power you have been given to you is from above, as Jesus told us. But it goes on to say, God says, I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. So God himself declares, whatever is going, I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. God's going to be exalted in this world regardless. Now, we know that God disciplines individuals, but he certainly disciplines nations. He can certainly discipline the world if he so desires. And in doing so, a world that thinks it's in control, God shows you're not in control. And then many people will say, maybe we should turn and look to the one who's actually in control of the universe. And they will find the Lord of hosts with them. The God of Jacob is their fortress. What has God said to you today, and what are you going to do about it?